Welcome back, everyone. This is our fifth episode.
Yeah.
I'm always a week behind, I think. I want to say the fourth, and it's not. So, okay, just to kick us off, before we get going on our topic, of course, we want to reflect about our weekly challenge that we had. And that weekly challenge from our previous episode was, how does or did culture impact the way that we connect and create community? So, more of a reflective challenge, I think.
Yeah.
Just being more intentional, more mindful about the ways culture impact how we connect and how we create community around us. So, anybody want to start us off?
You know what? I'll start us off.
Okay.
Okay.
So, when I was talking about my culture in last episode, I think my biggest focus was like natural medicine because that's just a huge part of my childhood. And I had a conversation with my mom and I was telling her about this like vitamin tea I've been making. It has like nettle and red raspberry leaf and all these beautiful things. And it was a really beautiful moment. I come from a family of divorced parents, so I don't always get to hear a lot of like positive stories of them when they were still together. But I was telling my mom about this tea, and she was like, "Me and your dad, when we lived in West Chicago, he would brew this nettle tea in this, like, what is it called?
Was it a French
In a
press?
fresh, yeah." She's like,
Yeah.
"He would make this for me every single morning." And it was really cool just to see, like, I'm doing that now. I had no idea about this memory. I don't remember drinking that tea, like, as a kiddo, but I just thought that was just a sweet memory to get to hear. Yeah.
And now you're like connecting with me through that
Mhm.
way because Amanda brings me tea every morning, this
Yes.
fabulous vitamin nettle tea, which has been incredible. So it's cool to see how like your dad did that for your mom and now
Yeah.
you're getting to do that for other people.
Yeah,
And
just so
that's a cool
sweet. Yeah,
connection.
and getting to hear, like, a positive memory, and then I got to see my sister this weekend, which me and her, like, super alike, and we're both very motivated. I think that's one of the values that I chose is, like, hard work, discipline, and we got to talk a lot about our future and something we wanna create together, which I won't share yet, but I definitely wanna share in the future, and it was just so cool to be with someone who's so motivated. Like, my sister is equally, if not more motivated than I, and she is a great person to bounce ideas off and around, so it was just lovely. I was like, "Oh, this is my kind of person." Like, we really understand each other in our brains, so
And you guys made vision boards
we
together,
made
didn't
vision
you?
Very
boards, so they
cool.
Yeah.
were
Yep.
she's been doing it for a while, so it was fun to get to make it, and we bought our favorite childhood book, so I got an Arthur book, and what else did we get? Another kiddo book, and I loved, like, adding pieces of our childhood to it.
That's very
Cute.
cool.
Yeah,
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 that is
yeah.
love
really
her.
cool.
And tangible. I think having something tangible is another
Yeah.
great way to, feel motivated, but also make it reality.
Yeah. Oh
This
my
is,
gosh.
yeah,
Yep.
So
this is
fun.
tangible work. So I think that
Yes.
was kind of how I was with this podcast, right? I didn't tell anybody until I knew we've got a recording in the books and, we're looking at releasing it. We've got a logo, all that good stuff. It was
Yeah.
very on the down low because I wanted something tangible for
Yeah.
this to happen. So,
Yeah, make
yeah.
it real. And now it is real. Yeah, what
Yeah.
about you guys?
I've been thinking a lot about like, you don't like us, we don't care.
Mm.
And I think maybe not professionally, but in my personal life, I think I really am that way. Like if you don't like me, I don't care. I do care, but it's like, you're lost. Screw you. You're missing out. And I do think I have a very blunt, honest personality. Like I'm just going to be upfront with you about my opinions, my beliefs, what I think about things, and I don't think I like do the niceties is maybe the word.
Yeah.
But I think it
Mhm.
has impacted how I connect a lot living here and maybe with some of like my fiance's like side and people that they are maybe more slow to warm or they're not going to give me all the pieces and be as upfront or and maybe not even just I think people in general, not everybody just comes swinging off the bat. And so I think that can either be intimidating for people or I'm like, "Oh, what are they hiding or why are they not being
Mhm.
upfront?" Or I don't wanna do all this fluff talk. I just like want to know who you are. And I think that is really something that actually as I've matured, because I think in my like 20s, I was like, "You don't like me, I don't care, and I don't like you." And I think a shift that I've had that has actually created some reconnection for me is just like not everyone connects the way that I do, like very quickly,
Mm.
very bluntly,
Yeah.
to the point immediately. Um, and I think I didn't give people the benefit or like the time that they deserved to get to know them. I just wrote people off very quickly and didn't give them an opportunity or try to get to know them. So that has been something I've been thinking a lot about. And I've been trying to be more intentional about like, asking questions and maybe doing a little bit more of the niceties and giving people an opportunity because we talk a lot about personality and temperament. And some people are slow to warm. Some people take more time. Some people take less time. Some people are more reserved. Some people are not. So I think that like passion and that fiery side of
Yeah.
me can sometimes like create disconnection in my life. And also I think I can connect with people really quickly if they receive it well. So I think both are true. But I think that passionate side of me does some things.
I
So
feel like you're speaking to 2 things. I think it was the first episode you said authenticity is your goal, so I feel like you're speaking
mhm.
to the authenticity, and then I remember us talking about our husbands and fiancés, how they process different, and how, like,
Yeah.
I really want my husband to be that verbal processor that, like, in the moment can talk about it, but he needs time to simmer. He doesn't need always time to
Yeah.
talk, and he'll come back and hear me, so it kinda reminds me of that. It's like, "Darn it, I just want it to be my way." This is so rude.
Yeah.
And I think that just feeds back into that cultural
Mhm,
component.
Yeah.
Right? We're not all raised the same. We're not
No.
all cut from the same cloth, but we do still have similarities that allow us to connect. Can you connect, Olivia, with someone who is not blunt and upfront and likes the fluff talk and likes the what do they call that? The small talk,
Yeah.
right? So, can you connect? Absolutely. It might be a little bit more challenging. You might not enjoy it as much, but can you?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it more than I realized. I think I maturing and, like, figuring out who I was
Mhm.
and what my beliefs were, I swung really hard one way. Like,
Mhm.
I either want you to be a ride or die friend, right? And there's that Billy mentality, that passion,
Yeah.
like, I want you to be a ride or die friend, or I don't want you as a friend,
Mhm.
and I don't think I actually feel that black and white about it anymore. I think I'm kinda swinging more to the middle again of, like, I think different relationships can fill different cups and there can be certain levels of relationships. And I think that's natural too, that we like kind of figure out our beliefs and then we stick really
Yeah.
hard to them and then maybe we become more flexible and it doesn't change my belief that I
Yeah.
still want like ride or die people in my life. I
Mhm.
still want to be passionate. I still want to be authentic. I think that
Mhm.
was a great way of putting it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I totally can. And also I think giving space for that small talk, I actually have found some really cool friendships that have turned into that more ride or die mentality, or you are one of my people. But it
Mhm.
just took some more time or a different way because they go about creating connection differently.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that person you spoke to at the gym that you spoke of, like, it was just small talk, but that was the way they connected with you.
Yeah.
Like, you guys spoke to each other, you acknowledged each other's
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah. And it took like 3 or 4 classes before we
Yeah,
even really conversated. So like it does take
it takes
connection
time.
takes time.
It does
Yeah.
take
It's
time.
not immediate.
Yes, which I think is something that social media has tried to pervert a little
Mm.
bit. And maybe not even social media, but technology in general. There are huge benefits to technology, right? And connection. It's
Yeah.
allowed us to be connected in ways that we never were before. But I also think it gives us this false pretense of I can immediately connect with someone. And generally, you can't because it does take time because trust and relationship building and rapport and all of those things they don't happen despite what social media
Yeah.
wants us to think. They don't happen instantaneously.
Yeah.
Having patience is getting harder and harder.
It is getting
It
harder and
is.
harder,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to people that we want to connect with. So, and I think a little bit of that feeds into, I guess, maybe my challenge and how it went for me, but something that I saw crop up. So, I got to spend the weekend with my family. They own this consignment shop that's for kids, and it's a biannual. So, pops up twice a year. And that is something that my parents, mostly my mom, has created from the ground up. Right. And
Mm.
so that was her business idea. She has ran with it for years and years and years. And of course, my dad has been right there with her. But we were talking last week about values in our culture. And I think one of the values that influenced my family culture, per se, not broad culture, but family culture that I was raised in was ambition. And, again, you earn what you have, right? And so my parents have really worked hard on that consignment stuff. So I got to go up and help out with them and I try to make it up there most of the time. But being there and seeing the production and the behind the scenes of what goes into making something like that work just always blows my mind. But I think that impacts the people that I hang out with.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So, I value ambitious people. I value people who are go-getters. I value people who are driven, who are, I would say, professional in the sense of they know what they want. So they're going to do the things that they need to get to it and to get it done.
Yeah. You want,
So
like, motivated humans
mhm.
Yep.
around you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that feels good to me to be because I'm gonna be honest, as much as I am ambitious, I am also lazy. Okay, now hear me out. I'm lazy in the sense of I don't enjoy wasting time on things that aren't important or aren't really beneficial. So I will do the bare minimum to get my questions or my wants or my needs answered or filled, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I think in that sense, I also value direction too. And like what is important? How do you prioritize these? What are your values? Right. So ambitious, yes, but also it's okay because I enjoy a degree of laziness too. Like I
A balance.
appreciate finding that balance.
I think I like what you said about people who have direction because I do think if ambition is important to you, but as well as, like I heard you say, pretty much efficiency, like, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
want like, I want it to be efficient, like, someone who has a direction is going to be efficient. They're gonna know where they want to go
Hmm.
and why they're going
Yes.
that way, and that comes with intentionality, and I think how cool to get to watch, I'm sure, the evolution of your mom's
Yes.
consignment shop event that she puts
Yeah.
on every year because, like, I'm sure it didn't start where it is today, and you got to watch, like, her have a very intentional direction
Yes.
and be patient with it too because it took years, I'm sure, to build
Yes.
that. And then how cool now that, like, you're building this podcast and,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you have this vision for what you want the
Right.
human reconnect to look like
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
forward, and so you're getting to build something from the ground up too. That's
Yes.
really cool.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
inspiring.
Happy to be a part of it, so
Mhm.
I'm excited for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna have us flow because I know our topic is social connection, social groups.
Social
Mhm.
groups.
I
Yeah.
feel like you're speaking to that. The people we surround ourselves with influence us. Either we notice
Mhm.
it or we don't notice it, but no matter what, they influence us. So you put yourself around a bunch of people who are motivated and you
Mhm.
become motivated. Or you put
Mhm.
yourself with a bunch of people who don't have direction and art, and then you start to, at least I've noticed that, and you start to kind of fall into that as well. So I
Yeah.
think you spoke to that.
What is the saying? And I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm just gonna say that on the front end, but you roll in the mud with the pigs, you become a pig. Something like that. You
Yeah.
roll in the dirt with the pigs.
I've heard the little bit more
Yes.
explicit version. Uh, but yes,
You're good.
and essentially it says, if you play with poop, you're gonna get poop on you,
Okay.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you play with pigs, you're
If
or
you if
yeah,
you lie in the mud with the pigs, you
yeah,
become a pig,
Yeah.
whatever it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
or you're just as dirty as the pig. I don't know. So, there is like a saying, but same
Yeah.
mentality.
Yes. No, and that's Amanda, like we were saying, so this week's topic for our episode is going to be community and social groups, right? So we know that there was those two definitions of community, and the second definition talks about groups of people that share characteristics, values, kind of those similar thoughts, ideas. And so that's what makes a social group. With social groups, we ascribe to those ideas and to those values and to those characteristics. So, yes, Amanda, what you were saying about surrounding yourself with ambitious people or surrounding yourself with pigs that are playing in the mud, right? Okay. So, you're going to become who you associate with
Yeah.
almost. So, with that, I guess, and talking about social groups, I think something that we wanted to talk a little bit about was there's social unity within those groups, right? We
Mhm.
feel united, we feel connected because you can become very connected to social groups, right? How you identify yourself can be based on a social group.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm a conservative Republican. And that social group is so well known that I can say those two words and you can probably make a crap ton of assumptions about me. Right?
Yeah.
Or kind of have beliefs that crop up or feelings that pop up if I say those words. Now, obviously, that was a hypothetical situation, so I'm not going to speak to my own political ideology. But, again, I'm trying to think of
It's a
other
great
strong.
example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 'Cause they're those divisive ones,
Yeah.
right? Like
Hmm. Yeah.
politics.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I was
Extremes.
gonna ask, do you think most social groups are created on the basis of beliefs and values?
Do I think most of them are created?
Mhm. I don't wanna use an absolute because I'm
Okay.
sure we could find a
Yes.
caveat,
Yes.
but, like, how much do you think of our social groups are created on values and beliefs?
Well,
Golly.
maybe as we get older, and maybe when we're younger, it's more like survival. I wanna fit in. I don't wanna be alone. And then we get older and we're like, "Oh, these people are actually we're more aware of the values." Like, "Oh, these people are together because they all play volleyball and they all love this band. They all love One Direction," for example. And then
Yeah.
we get older, we're like, "Oh, there's a reason that we're here together." Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my
Oh, I'm curious because I feel like if I was part of a running club, I would argue that most people in that running club value health, wellness,
Mhm.
fitness.
Right?
That's why they're
Mhm.
Some kind of
running,
yeah,
yeah, or they wanna
right.
get healthy, or they wanna take care of their bodies, or I don't know, like, I think that's why you would probably join a running club.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then I think, like, about if you were in a cooking class, like, you probably value food and cooking, or you want to learn about that, or be able to create a meal for your family. I don't know, I feel like
Yeah, so what's your answer to your question?
I think they're all tied around values and beliefs
Okay.
almost. I think I could almost argue that every group has some sort of value
Yeah,
to it
and
or
that's
belief.
well, if you
And it's not all your values and beliefs, it might just be one of them or an interest, I
Yeah.
think we could say. But I think so much of groups are based off of values and beliefs.
Or, like, ones you want to have. Like, I don't value health, but I want to, so I'm gonna go to this running club because I know it
Oh,
will
okay.
change me. It will help that part, and I see you.
I want a challenge, but it's just popped into my head as we were talking.
yeah, and hold on because I wanna hear it, but I'm also curious because think it has to be based on values and beliefs. Now, again, this is kind of an absolute, so come at me if you want
I know,
to.
I know,
Drop it in
I
the
know.
comments or whatever. But
I
I
know.
think for me, where I'm coming from, it has to be because that's the attraction.
Yeah,
Otherwise, why do you care about that social group, right?
yeah.
I mean,
That's how I feel too.
and this is no offense to anyone, but I don't care about running groups. I will probably never join a running group because one, that's not a value I have. It's not really something that I feel passionate about. And do I care about my health? Yes, but not in the sense of running. So
Okay.
I would find other social groups that fill that need, that have that same value, just in a different, what would you say, format or manifestation?
Yeah, or like interests, yeah,
Yeah.
like, you're not interested in running, but maybe you still value health.
And this is gonna sound ironic, but for example, I play soccer, okay, which involves a lot of running, I know. But that is really fun to me. Would I join a running club? No. Do I enjoy soccer? Yes. But they value, again, physical exercise.
Yeah. I have a challenge because I
Yeah.
think that as people get older, you may have had a friend group, but now everyone's values are changing and they're separating. But I know some friend groups that stay together because of the memories. They may not share the values anymore. Like, I think I have some of our like OG friend groups, very different values, very different people. But
You don't
like,
think you could find
I think
commonality?
yes, they're
I was
probably,
gonna say, at bare
yeah.
minimum, they all value the
Yeah,
nostalgia of
like, and
going back to those
togetherness.
memories, yeah,
Yeah,
or
totally.
value
Okay.
having childhood
Or
friends.
Yeah.
value openness and diversity.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
Like, being
value,
open to
right?
someone who's
Yeah.
very different than me, but we're gonna stay together. You know what?
Yeah.
Yes. I agree with that.
I think I just had an epiphany while we were talking of like, "Oh, I think every social group is probably based off of values and beliefs," and I wonder how much that value or that belief is more intense because I believe that probably everyone in the group has different values and beliefs, but maybe we just share one commonality,
Mhm.
and I then think about, like, when we're with that group, how much that value is probably heightened or brought to life when we're
Yes.
part of that group. Because like, your friend
Mhm.
group, very different, so maybe other
Yeah.
values and beliefs stay aside, but we value, like, the memories that we have together, like, our childhood
Maybe.
memories and
Yeah.
nostalgia, so, like, we probably sit in a lot of nostalgia, like, "Remember when we did this?" Or,
Mm.
"Oh my gosh, so good to see you guys again. Remember last time we were at the lake?" Right? Like,
Yeah.
probably a lot of reminiscing when you're
Yeah.
with that group.
Yeah.
Or, like, when I'm with you all, I talk about connection and
Yes.
mental health and
Right, because it's
all
something we all
all
value.
value. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like what we
Right.
and we talk about relationship and connection a
Yep.
lot because obviously that's what our group essentially has kind of become to value and
Yeah.
the belief within
Mhm.
it. And then with other groups that I'm part of, I wouldn't really talk about this as much, but I still really value it. And
Mhm.
I just thought
Yes.
that was interesting.
No, it is really interesting, and it's I mean, the broad scope of this is really insane, and here's where I'm coming from, okay? Think about every different group or cohort of people that I mean, right now we've got a trio,
Yeah.
and that is a social group,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have formed a social group doing this podcast, but I also want to think about how many social groups there are that represent one value. For example, if you value health, okay, that's one value. but there's probably thousands upon thousands of different social groups that prioritize health in a different manner than you, right? For example, if you value health by dieting and dietary needs and foods,
Mhm.
that is a completely different social group than if you value health by exercising physically. And even in that, there's CrossFit, there's calisthenics, there's Pilates, there's soccer, there's weightlifting, right? And each of those have, I mean, one search on Spotify in a podcast category is going to pull up, you can go to relationship podcasts and it's going to pull up hundreds of different relationship podcasts and they're all going to be different. Same value, relationships, different manifestation, different way of fulfilling that need. You guys are giving me some looks.
It's
I
it's
know.
like universality. It's
It
like the
is.
way we connect. I may
Yes.
not be a runner, but I can value health through, like, I love volleyball.
Mhm.
And I can value, like, the connection you get and the teamwork and the competition that you get.
Yeah.
And I think that when we start to separate ourselves into our different groups, it can get us away from, like, we are actually all valuing the same thing at its core. That's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think all of us probably value health. And when I'm at my Hot Works class versus volleyball
Mhm.
versus soccer, we probably all think, no, this version's better because it feels
Yes.
better to me.
It feels better to us.
Yeah.
But we're getting, I mean, if you're burning calories and you're burning calories and I'm burning calories,
Yeah.
we're all building muscles.
We're moving our
all
body.
moving our body.
Yeah.
We're all meeting those same. So, at what point as humans did we decide calisthenics sucks and volleyball is the superior, and so therefore I'm not gonna associate with you anymore?
Yeah.
If it's the same need being met, if it's the same value at the bottom, right? The same kind of foundation, maybe not at the bottom, but the same foundation. At what point? Because I also think gatekeeping is a huge part of this.
Ooh, tell me more.
Okay, so I'm gonna gatekeep and be like, calisthenics is superior. You're a volleyball person. You're not gonna come in here and do calisthenics. Like you don't fit in here. You don't belong. You don't have the right. I think of the just that general pit of anxiety you get when you go to the gym for the first time
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because there's such gatekeeping happening there or this like preconception of gatekeeping. It may
Perceived.
not actually, perceived.
Yeah.
So I think, social groups, we like to gatekeep, right? I take horseback lessons. If I went somewhere where there were people who legitimately ride horses for a living, I would feel so out of place.
Like that'd be intimidating.
Yes.
For me, it's always intimidating to enter a new social group.
Yes.
Because
Oh,
it's what we talked about before. It's vulnerable. Like,
Yes,
am I
it
going to
is.
be
Yes.
accepted by this group or am I going to make a freaking fool out of myself?
Yes.
Like the first time I ever went to like a hot yoga class, I like couldn't breathe. I was like,
That's
I'm going to
so
die.
hard.
I'm going to vomit in this hot
Yes.
yoga
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
Like, and I was in pretty good shape too, but I just like hadn't been in a heated space
Yep.
and worked out before.
Yep.
And then once you go 2 or 3 times, you're fine. Like your body adjusts, you get really
Right.
used to the heat. It's not a big deal. But yeah, there is this mentality of I'm like, these people are staring at me and I'm in the back of the classroom and I have no clue what I'm doing. Like it's really intimidating to enter a new social group.
And, like, how much of it is ours versus what
Yeah.
the person's actually like, how they are acting in the space versus, like, I remember going to hot yoga and I was dying too. And it would have been nice if like, oh, it's really hard for the first time. That's normal. Versus like, oh, we're all gonna just act like we're good and we're doing okay and this
Yes.
is easy when it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And then it might make you not want to go back. So you're like, wow, they had such an easy time. Was I the only one who was like dying on my last breath? But that's actually normal.
So I think something also that we're kind of maybe dancing around or talking a lot about without naming it. If I had to put a name on this conversation, it would be how do we connect to social groups that we're not a part of yet, but we're interested in?
Yeah.
Right? We're all trying these novel experiences, these novel groups, these novel activities. How do we fit in? How do we connect? And so in psychology, there's a term called imposter syndrome. We get it. I showed up first day of my job. I don't belong here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stupid. I'm the bottom of the totem pole. I'm not qualified for this job. All that self-doubt. Imposter syndrome is going to convince you you don't belong. You don't need to connect here. And so how do you overcome that? And actually, believe it or not, research shows that we need to fake it till we make it. Because if we appear confident, if we act confident, if we literally fake it till we make it, we can override that imposter syndrome. Because at some point, we did earn and we deserve the ability to be in those groups, right?
Mhm.
So we value physical health I deserve to play soccer. If I paid my team dues, if I got the approval to get on the team, I rostered myself, all that good stuff, I deserve to be there as much as anybody else, right? And so, how do we, I think social groups can do two things. I think they can divide people and I think they can unite people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I feel like on the flip side is the idea of vulnerability. Like walking into a space, I'm really bad at faking it till I make it. I
Mhm.
think just as a person, and I found that's a tool that really helps me. Like walking into a space and being vulnerable, being like, wow, I am so confused. I feel scared.
So, like, naming it.
Yeah, Nate
Yeah.
really does
Yep.
a lot for me because I
Yep.
feel like if I walk in and I fake it, it doesn't feel good for me, but I know that it works for a lot of people. So I think that's another side. Like, it's okay to go in and fail and to be bad at playing soccer or volleyball. I think everyone starts somewhere. We just have to I think we get in our head that we have to have it look like everyone else because that's a tool we use to survive. Like, okay, I'm doing what everyone else is doing, but we're allowed to be bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
and keep
Yeah.
going.
And
Yeah.
what a form of connection entering a new social group and being honest and being like,
Yeah.
I've never been here. I have no clue what I'm doing. And that
Yep.
person be like, oh, I felt the same way on my first
Right.
day. I've
Yep.
got you. Like,
Mhm.
let's do this. Like, what a way
You
to
know what
connect
that's
with them
called?
at what?
Universality.
Universality.
His
We
favorite
all
words.
yes, we all go through similar right? All of us had to start at the same starting point generally, right? Our job where we're at right now, we all started at the very same starting point.
Yeah.
And, we all felt the same way probably to some degree. Universal. Those
Yeah.
feelings, those experiences, we're all humans and to some degree we experience it. And so yes, Olivia, what a huge point of connection, right? If you go in and Amanda, like you were
Mhm.
saying, if you go into the new social group and you name, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm going to pass out in my first hot yoga class and throw up and do all the fun stuff, right? And then three other people are telling you, yeah, we did the same exact thing. Welcome. Okay, great. That's the expectation,
Phew, what like a
right?
relief too. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
what a
Yep.
relief. Yep.
yeah.
So again, I think, what are some ways, my question is, what are some ways you think social groups unite people versus ways they divide?
Okay. Well, I have kind of going back to my my beliefs tangent,
Yes.
but I think people get caught up and there's a right way to do something.
Or a right belief or value?
No.
No.
Well,
Okay.
maybe. I mean, yes, but
Okay.
that's not I don't think where my train of thought is going, but, like, there's a right way to be healthy, people believe,
I see. Okay.
right?
Ooh,
Yep.
yep.
But what if we could all just unite under the fact of, like, you value health
Mm.
just like I do. So we are alike, but the way that I feel like I'm gonna be healthy is different than the
Mhm.
way that you feel like you're gonna be
Which is
healthy.
not a thing.
No, we're still valuing the same
Same
thing.
thing.
We're actually and we probably can learn something from each other because we both value health. So I'm sure I can teach you something and you can teach me something
Mhm.
because none of us really know what the is it
Mhm.
Pilates? Is it hot works? Is it soccer? Is it volleyball?
Right.
Is it like what
And you know why we don't know that is because they can all lead to a similar result.
yeah.
Yes.
And it's like what
It all
feels
works.
good to me.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think it can be super uniting to be like, oh my God, I value health too. That's so cool. You play volleyball. I love to move my body. I love to play soccer on Wednesdays. Like,
Mhm.
and just talk about the ways that we like to move our bodies and be healthy. And I think it can go way past obviously just health. But I think I wonder how many people really, because I also want to name that we are three humans who talk about values and beliefs day in and day out.
Yeah.
It's a big part of the
Yes.
work we do. I don't know how often other people are really even thinking about
Thinking
their
about their
values
values.
and their beliefs or even really connecting. Like, if you do soccer and I do volleyball, we probably both value being part of a team. So we probably would work well together because
Right.
we like teamwork. I mean,
Yeah.
those are both huge team sports, right? I don't think people necessarily think that way. It's probably like, ew, volleyball, I hated volleyball.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're like, well, I hate soccer. Like, I don't want to run that. Right. And then that then divides us instead of being connected and like we both value something very similar. And we're actually the universality. We're more alike than we realize. But I think people get really caught up in like my way is the best way, or there's a right or wrong way to get this result.
So the division for you is in how we achieve the value.
I think that can what people get caught up on.
Yeah.
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 Like you should do
Mhm.
this versus you should the shoulds, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think a piece of that is like when we're trying to validate ourselves and we're only in our experience. Like for me, playing soccer, maybe I had a negative experience where I wasn't good at soccer. I felt disconnected. I think I'm speaking to something personal right now. So when I think of soccer, I have a disdain for maybe I don't like it, but that's my own personal stuff. And I'm saying volleyball is better to basically value or validate how I feel in my experience. So I think it makes us get out of our heads a little and say, okay, they can do their thing and I'm still valid in what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would you say groups divide?
Yeah, to feel valid, to feel like I have worth, I have to stick strongly to mine and push others away.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like there's more there.
So more of that allegiance to your social group, maybe? So we've got the right way to do it, and then we've got allegiance.
If you're not with me, against me, I think you're against me. I
Ooh.
think there's a lot of that
Ooh, okay.
mentalities in groups. Like, if you don't subscribe to what I'm doing, then you're inherently
Attack.
against me or attacking me or think I'm invalid. Or because I heard you
Mm.
say, like, you want to kind of validate your own experiences a lot of like, no, this is really good or this is a really good thing, and want to invalidate probably other things to continue to validate your narrative. But I think there's a lot of, if you're not with us, you're against us in groups.
Yeah. 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 I think something that I see too, and Olivia, I'm going to speak to that, the whole if you're not with me, you're against me, is I think we also, in conversations nowadays, the way we communicate, we are very quick to pull up these social group identifiers, right?
Mm.
I'm part of X and Y community. I'm part of A, B, and C community. And I think it's a really quick way for us to judge and label someone because if they say, "Oh, well, I'm actually elemental P community," and I know that I don't like that community or that social group, I'm immediately writing you off.
Yeah.
Right? Or, my group does not allow space for your group or your beliefs. I think that's how I see division, right? Is these groups alienate their members from other groups in the extreme sense. Now, is volleyball alienating their volleyball players from ever playing soccer? No, I don't think we see that on that level, right? But and this may be a bad example, but for example, English equestrians versus like Western equestrians, very different disciplines. Probably very similar values though.
Yeah.
Horses, equestrians being part of that sport, right? But they're very different from each other. So does the English equestrian side alienate from the Western side? Do they have things that they hate about? Yes, and I've seen that,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I think we can name that for probably all, well, maybe not all, absolute, right? Maybe most social groups have something that they really dislike about other social groups that are probably trying to achieve the same thing or have the same passion, the same values.
It's, like, easier across, like, sports or equestrians, but when it comes to our morals and our ethics and our values, it
Yes.
gets trickier and trickier.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think that people do use those labels to, like, identify very quickly to protect themselves, but sometimes when we're, like, protecting or guarding ourselves, we're really actually shutting ourselves down from being open-minded to something more
Yeah.
than what we believe.
Yeah. And we quickly shut down and divide. We put up that barrier. We put up that wall of you are from that social group or I, you know, relate to that group. Okay, this conversation's over.
Yeah. And I wonder how much that is too, like, is that social group, how much my belief comes up in that social group. So if it is like my morals or my values
Mm.
in that group. So let's just religion, right? Like, I'm
Yep.
part of a group that's spirituality based, and obviously another spirituality group I'm not going to agree with because that is not my religion. That is not
Mhm.
my belief. And I think that makes sense because that's what we're focused on in that group. So, like, I wouldn't be comfortable in another group because those aren't my beliefs. But I think the big key for me is, like, I'm sure someone in that other spirituality group has another value that's the same as yours. And can you be with them in that group? Right? Like, I think that is like
Yeah.
the big thing, but it can divide us. Sometimes it's like, well, spirituality is the most important thing to me. And if you're not aligned on that, then I can't be aligned on anything with you. And I think that's where there can be lots of disconnection
Yeah.
then, because then we all of a sudden don't align on anything. But is it really just we have one different belief,
Right.
but maybe we align on a lot of other things?
Right.
And but I think those things, there's more polarizing topics that I think really create that
Yes.
disconnection. And I
Yes.
think of religion and morals and
Politics.
politics
Yeah. Yeah.
and those identity. Those are all big things that I
Yeah.
think become big points of disconnection for people. And then all of a sudden, I can't even be in a running club with you because
Yes.
that is creating such a point of contention and disconnection for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think humans I don't think we put enough merit on the scale of being adaptable. And not even adaptable that we change what we believe, but we are able to hold space for someone else's beliefs and ours at the same time and still make a relationship happen or still allow us the ability to connect, right? I shouldn't have to leave my running group because two people have a different religious belief than I do, right? But I think sometimes we feel that way,
Yeah.
and sometimes humans act that way.
Yeah, and I wanna name too, obviously, it's different when there's, like, hate and threats and
Mhm.
things that are unsafe happening within
Right.
that, because that is totally the truth, and that is a different
Yeah.
experience
It
than
is a
just,
very
like,
different
I
experience.
respectfully believe something different than you, and it's respectful,
Mhm.
because I want to name that there's more nuance to it, but if we're talking about, like, both of us being respectful,
Yeah.
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 so
Yeah, if there's sorry, if there's a security risk or a safety risk,
yes, it's
protect
different.
yourself. It is very
It's
different.
different.
Hostility is another beast.
And unfortunately, groups create that
Yeah.
hostility
Yep.
too of like, yes, this is actually an unsafe environment for
And we
you
can't tolerate you.
or a
Yep.
threatening
Yep.
environment. So naming that too.
Mhm.
I think it speaks to the idea of open and closed groups that, like, I don't think we
Yeah.
should shame. There are some groups that are closed for a reason because we are
Mhm.
very specific on our values. Like, for example, I joined a book club and I didn't realize that the majority of them were Christians, which is totally fine. I'm very open. I love learning about different religions, but they may want it if all they did was read the Bible, then maybe it's a good thing that it's a closed group because people who want to read the Bible go.
Yeah, if someone shows up to book club not wanting to read the Bible, yeah, that's probably not a group they wanna be. Yeah, yeah, and so having those parameters, being upfront, I think too, being
Yeah.
transparent of
Yeah.
this is the kind of group you're joining.
Yeah, it
These are
keeps
our
them safe.
beliefs. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it also allows again, we have the right to choose,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't have to join a Christian Bible study group. I can if I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
it keeps them safe because they know within this space I can bring these topics up. I could talk about
yes,
religion safely in this space
yes,
versus, if someone comes in and they don't know the boundaries. I think that's why it's a positive too to have a
I
closed group.
I love that too, because not everything needs to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Like if we
yeah,
have a new moms group, I don't want any men in the new
No.
moms group with me. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like this is about women who are going through postpartum, who just had a baby. That is a very unique experience. And it's not that
Yes.
I want to not include anyone, but this is a group that is focused on like
yeah, it's
just get
highly targeted.
yes, and it's
Yeah.
closed. It's not that there is a niche focus to the group. And I
Yes.
think that is a beautiful point.
Yes.
Like too, there should be spaces that are just allowed for this is a group for women who survive sexual assault. That should be a closed group.
Mhm. Yeah.
There should be parameters around that. Like that is something that doesn't necessarily need to allow everyone to be involved in that. It's niche.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think kind of where my brain's going is we've been talking about groups and division and stuff. And I like what you said, like the open and closed groups.
Mhm.
I'm curious though, because we talked, Olivia brought this up right before we started, but groupthink. You're wanting to speak
Oh
to that.
yeah.
So do you want me to read off the definition real
Yes.
quick? Okay.
Refresh us.
Yes.
Refresh
So
us.
groupthink is a psychological phenomenon where the desire for group harmony and cohesion overrides critical analysis. So what that does is it leads to poor, irrational, or conformist decision making. It was coined by William White Jr. in 1952, but it was made popular by psychologist Irving Janis in 1972. Groupthink results in a suppressed dissent, so you're not going to go against the group. It results in overconfidence and results in a failure to evaluate risks of your actions or your decisions. So it's very much mob mentality.
Yeah. There's little flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think sometimes that rigid thinking can get us into a lot of trouble.
As I just said, not all groups need to be inclusive.
Yeah. So wait, now hold on.
Oh, there's something.
What?
I'm willing to
Yeah.
be
So I've
challenged
got
on that.
yeah, no. Not, I'm not going to challenge you, but which groups need to be closed? Those that exhibit more groupthink or less?
I have a thought.
Amanda, you go. Let me
I think
think.
I think that's where it gets dangerous because you can have a closed group, but then your group is now susceptible to groupthink because we're not
Very much
allowing
so.
ourselves to kind of challenge our thoughts and beliefs.
Because
And
you're being very selective about who's in that
yeah,
group.
so maybe that's like the extreme of a closed group is now we have a mod mentality or
Well,
now we
because
have a cult. I don't know.
cult is the word
Yeah.
I was looking at. You're
Yeah.
thinking of is cult, right? That is very much we're all in this together, and here are our set of beliefs.
Yeah.
And no one comes in unless they have very specific criteria or
Mhm.
you believe what we're going to believe.
And typically, someone from a cult is typically right. I mean, it's almost like you have to apply. I know there's not probably formal application process for
3-step interview.
Right. You're not gonna have that, but you're gonna be shoveling a lot of money into it. You're gonna be showing investment. You're going to be, meeting the people kind of in charge of the cult, if you will, kind of adopting you into their beliefs and what they want you to think and act and all that good stuff. But Olivia, did you have anything as far
Yeah.
as like groupthink and
Yeah. I mean, I
the
think
groups?
I love the idea of, like, an open and a closed group, and I know I said not every group needs to be inclusive, and maybe I'm challenging myself even in this moment on that because I do think that's when groupthink
Think
can happen,
happens?
like, we don't have someone challenging our beliefs, but I do think a time and a place where a closed group is beneficial is in more of, like, a therapeutic setting of, like,
Yeah.
we have a very structured goal
Yes.
of what we're processing, what we're learning, what we're working through,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we want there to be connection and universality through it. But with that, there's a lot of structured goals, what we're trying to meet, what we're trying to do. I feel like it's more structured, maybe a closed group that is structured and has a specific goal. And also most of the time those are time oriented. Like
Yep.
the group's over at after 6
Right.
weeks, 8 weeks, and you can still connect
Mhm.
outside of it, but it's no longer a closed group. You could invite other humans
Mhm.
to it because I think that is true. If we close our group off, then we're closing it to
Mhm.
other input, to challenges, to other people giving insight or perspective that maybe we didn't think of. And I think it's really easy to not want to go against the group too, especially if it's closed, because then if I'm shut out, I'm not welcome back in. Like it makes it even more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Exclusive?
Exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that it speaks to, like, leaders too, right? There's, like, a leader of a cult, but also to be a therapist, you are a leader. You are the one who keeps the safety in the room. So I wonder if that's an element too, like the different roles we play in a group. Because I think all groups have a leader. At least that's what I think. The person who is the one that the people look up to the most.
Yes, but I also think a big part of belonging to a group is that diffusion of responsibility,
Yeah.
right? So we see that phenomenon in psychology a lot in human behavior. Groups are more likely to commit crimes together because there's diffused responsibility. Well, what are they going to do? Arrest all of us?
Yep.
Right? And typically, yes, I mean, I think you're right. I think there is typically one person maybe who's the fall guy or who's the guy that kind of organizes and I say guy is gender neutral, right?
Yeah.
Like just the person that is doing all of that. I mean, I think both can be very true and probably both exist within most groups, right? So, um
I think there's always some sort of leaders,
Mm.
maybe multiple different ones. But yeah, I do think there's always some point person, whether it's just the person who organizes it
Yep.
or, sends out the weekly email to remind you
Right.
to show up to the group. I think the level of leadership can greatly differ
Yeah.
Yes.
depending on the groups.
Yes.
But I think groupthink happens regardless, like of how big or small, even within our little trio. I'm sure
Yeah.
we've had some groupthink
Groupthink.
moments, right?
Yeah.
Where I listen back later to an episode and I'm like, oh, we were all on that wavelength, but I totally could have jumped in and challenged this or said that.
Yeah.
You get caught up in the
Sure.
moment
Yeah.
or the group or what you all are doing or what your belief is or what your goal is, and I think it's just easy to happen.
Yeah.
It, like, reminds me of we were talking about driving last week, and then we got done with the episode, and I go over to Olivia, I'm like, "I'm actually really a passive driver, but you guys are" what did you call yourselves?
Offensive drive.
Also,
Offensive.
I was about to say aggressive because that's the word I feel like fits me.
And in the
I'm a
moment, I was
mean
like, "Yeah," I
driver.
was hyping you up, and after I was like, "Wow, no, I probably drive in a way that would make you guys have to honk at me."
And you were like, I'm not saying it because they're heated right now and
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
am not.
Yeah.
You were very conforming.
I was conforming in that moment to calm
Pressed
myself.
descent. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Something that I'm curious about though is we've talked about groupthink. It happens. We know it happens. There's research evidence for it, all that good stuff. What groupthink have you guys encountered or been a part of? Or have you guys started groupthink?
I feel like it's something I need to sit and think on.
I think it's easier. I've been thinking a lot about middle school and, like, the relationships I had before they were meaningful and authentic, where I was around a lot of people who were very mean to each other, like mean girls, and that is the opposite, I think, of who I am, but, like, to fit in that group, like, we're just a-holes to each other, or we just, like, pick at each other. We find those little things where we're not doing a good job or we're not fitting in. We're not dressing like everyone else or doing our hair like everyone else.
Mhm.
And I wish I can go back. I know it's a part of being a middle schooler is that we're all a lot of us are mean, or maybe you're
I was
just
gonna say,
in
watch those absolute. I was a nice middle schooler.
Yeah, and I hate looking back at that time.
Okay, maybe not.
Well, you
Just a
guys,
little.
I don't know if it's middle school or other. What you guys? Don't you lie
I
to
have
us.
such a classic groupthink
Oh, I'm
example, and it's
excited.
hysterical. So we were in 6th grade. How old are you in 6th grade? 10 years old? 10, 11, 12?
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're getting ready to go into junior high,
and
so
I'd
you'd
say
be like
11.
13. So
You're
uh,
12, 13.
12, 13? Okay. Okay.
Maybe 11. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna
In
say, I
there.
think, yeah. So 12, 11, 11, 12, and we're in 6th grade, and I grew up in a small town. So my elementary class was the same all the way up through my high school graduation, right? I was with the same 26 kids for my entire educational life, pretty
Yeah.
much. 6th grade, we had this notorious teacher that was just tough, all right? Just kind of hard to get along with,
Okay.
and not really her biggest fan, not my biggest fan, whatever. And so we did this thing called IXL, and it was the program where you got on and you completed the math challenges, the math lessons. And so IXL had these really cool things where you earned badges and little icons and stickers and stuff that you could decorate your profile with. The way to get those badges was by completing lessons and challenges and stuff. And it's split up by grades. And so we would have computer time, I think like 30 minutes or 45 minutes every day where we would
Okay.
go. And the whole reason we were going there was to work on 6th grade level math. Enter groupthink. All right. So
Gosh.
we all liked looking at each other's little icons and badges that we unlocked.
Mhm.
So we found out if we go to the pre-K level math, we can do a lot of challenges very quickly, and we can make our profiles look super cool because it's pre-K level math. I mean, it's like 1 plus 1, right? So we are blowing through this IXL. We are all, I mean, all of us. I think there was maybe one student who did not do the pre-K level. But we were all just, no one dissented. There was no, hey, this is really wrong, guys. Like, we're not supposed to be doing this. We were harmonious. We were cohesive.
We're on it.
We were all doing pre-K, and we were all getting our badges and our stickers unlocked and our little challenges. We go back to the classroom, and our teacher says, I looked at your all stats, and you guys have spent numerous hours of class time doing nothing of what you're supposed to be doing. Like, she logged what you were doing and how much time you spent doing it. And we had done pre-K level math for a week. And
Genius. Honestly,
Genius.
genius.
And so we got our recess taken away. The whole class got our recess taken away because we weren't doing our 6th grade level math. But it was very much, there was that diffuse responsibility, that overconfidence. I mean, we were all hee hee ha ha, look at mine. Like,
Yup.
I'm doing 1 plus 1 right now. You know, what are you doing? What's a triangle? Right. So, you know, and then of course that failure to evaluate risks, which definition, you know, we didn't care about the risk. We weren't thinking that we were going to get punished. We didn't think that she could see the loss. I can't imagine though getting a report card saying your whole class is pre-K level.
They're very
We are
efficient.
very good. We're very smart on the
Above
pre-K
grade
level.
level.
Yeah. So, but that was my big. Obviously, I've had more, but that was an entire class.
That's a really good one.
is.
Yeah.
6th graders, easily influenced, right? We're all,
Yeah.
I'm doing it, so I'm gonna do it too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I think about that even with like trends and styles. Like I look back on
Ooh.
things that I like have worn or like that was in style and it's like, holy like why like the
Why were we
side
all on drugs?
did you guys go through the side ponytail
Yes.
that was like on the side of your head? On the top of your head.
I think I
Yeah.
did.
With
I
like
mean,
a
if you guys did, I feel like
piece of
I would.
pre-wrap on the top of my head. Like I just think back to all those things too.
A thin piece of what? Like rolled up, like it was like a headband.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. I actually
Yeah, and it
did
would
not.
rip your hair out when you take it out.
I had like bald patches.
Yeah, and none of us were like, why are we
doing this?
Why are we
This
wearing our
hurts.
hair this way? And then the minute someone switched it, we were all like, yep, let's just put it back in the middle of our head. Like I don't. So I think about even like trends, like looking back and being
Yes.
like, oh, we all really subscribe to that.
Yeah.
And then the other things that I thought about is like we didn't have like a senior skip day, but we all just decided we were gonna skip that day, and it was
Mhm.
just, like, an unspoken, like,
Yep.
none of the kids are gonna show up, and if you do, like, you're a loser,
Yeah.
like, for showing up to school.
Right.
Like, whatever. Which really,
Yep.
that is not the reality. Like, there's
Yes.
so many
Oh,
reasons,
for
but,
sure. Yep.
I think about, like, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are great examples of
Um,
groupthink.
Ours also, a big one was, like, we just, like, wouldn't go to the football games, or, like, sometimes we would just all decide, like, none of us are going to the football games, and
Mhm.
then there was no student section, or we would all show up, right?
Yes.
Like, nobody went against the grain of
Yes.
those things too, like,
Yes.
just those unspoken.
Oh, yeah. That's a great example
Yeah,
too. If a student body got together and made a
a
unanimous
decision.
decision, no one was going against it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, like,
Yep.
if it was,
'Cause then you were ostracized.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
if it's a blackout game and you're wearing all black, like, I don't know who decided that, but I
Yeah.
Yes.
all black it is. Like,
Yeah.
just
I'm
say
not gonna
less.
show up in white, like, that's
No,
for sure.
say less. So
Yeah.
I think those are, like, really simple examples, but
Yes.
I would love to think more on that, because I just think about the times that we all band together and we're like, "Well, if we
Mhm.
all do it, they
go
can't
on
do anything
strike."
about it."
Yeah, I think something that and I'll just name this example really quickly because I wanna talk a little bit about how groups unite us too, but is driving. I think every time we get in our vehicle, we become part of a groupthink herd.
For
If the
sure.
common speed is 80,
You better do it.
you better be doing 80. Otherwise, you're going to be getting honked at by me, right?
Yes.
Or if we're all trying to get to, Knoxville on Kingston Pike at 5 p.m., oh, like, welcome to the herd, right? So it is. I think that's also something. And none of us are even talking. I'm not talking to the car or to the person that's 3 cars ahead of me,
Ugh,
but
the best is when, like, one person turns around in traffic and then
everyone
everybody
turns
starts
around in
turning
traffic.
around, or,
When
like,
when Google
deciding
Maps
to pass
Yes,
people.
yes. Or when Google Maps tells you that there's a traffic jam and it's rerouting everyone the same exit. And, like, I mean, we're like little elephants. We're like,
They're just hurt, and Google Maps is hurting.
it's hurting everyone along, and we're all just going with it, right? None of us, we're not conforming, or we are conforming. We
Yeah.
just
And that phenomenon that, like, they talk a lot about is, like, in a crisis, like, if no one responds and no one
Yeah, no one's
responds
responsible.
because nobody knows what. Yeah, like,
Yep.
but then once someone responds, it, like, ignites the rest of the group
Yep.
to be like, "Okay, how
Mhm.
can I help? What can I do?" And it takes that one person to go against the group for that
Yes.
switch to happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So on that note, or I guess kind of more of a transition, is so we talked a lot about division, and I think groupthink is probably one of the reasons why groups divide or experience division, right? Because we're all going to conform to our group, and we're going to do whatever the group wants us to do. We don't care about other groups or other people outside of our
Yeah.
group, right? We're very, very connected within our, what would you call that, community or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
part of that.
Yeah,
So,
that system, that
mhm.
group, the community, yep.
Yep. So something that I wanted to talk real briefly a little bit about is kind of shifting into unity that comes from groups. So there was a 2024 meta-analysis of 167 studies that found connection to communities is positively associated with mental health, well-being, and even some physical health. So, and that was on PubMed. I'll put that in the show notes and stuff. But this meta-analysis found that it offers belonging, okay?
Yeah.
But that sense of belonging is a buffer against stress, actually. So a large population survey shows that strong community belonging reduces poor mental health because you are getting that community support as a protective buffer. So, if your group is stigmatized, if your group is a minority, if your group is attacked, right? If you find support within that group, it's not as bad as taking it on alone, right? And so, if you can find that community to plug in with where you do share values and those beliefs, it's going to protect from the stress of being attacked. Yeah.
And I love how it ties in with our past episodes. Like, they're flowing so well. Like, the
Mhm.
one about our community where, like,
Yep.
to survive, we stuck together.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yep.
it's cool how it connects to that.
Yes, absolutely. So that belonging, it talks about peer support. So individuals within those communities often provide informal mental health support to other
Yeah.
members. This is a safe space. You can talk about these issues. You can have those beliefs because we share them. We have them too.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? I experienced, religious discrimination much in the same way that you've experienced it, right? So there's that common peer support network, and that plays a huge role in mental health.
And it's that to be seen. That is an opportunity for me to be seen
Yep.
and supported and then still cared for. Yes, they are so as much as groups can divide us in certain ways, like the need to be part of a group, I think is very innate into who we are and very
Yes.
essential. Like I
Yes.
think we've talked from the beginning that
Mhm.
connection is a basic need. And so
Yep.
being part of a group and being part of something greater than just ourselves and connected to something greater than ourselves is a basic need.
It kind of reminds me of like back in the day we had like shamans. I think that's the right word in a town is the person that you went to for that emotional support, for that guidance. And I think for people who don't have families that they can lean on, I think that's what this is talking about too. Like a person I can go to who understands me, who's been in this, who may be older and wiser than me that I can go to get that support and that yeah, why do you need that?
So on that, those are just some ways that groups offer unity, right? So
Yeah.
that's how they provide that.
And they
So
provide comfort, like in a world that is so uncomfortable and is so difficult. And there's so many conflicting information and beliefs and
Mhm.
to find a place where you can just be and you can be understood and seen is so important.
Yes.
Right,
That's
and
true.
that I think that's as much as we've talked about how, like, we need to be able to accept
Mhm.
and see other people's beliefs too, like, it is just as true that we need to be in a space where we can just be and be accepted and that confrontation isn't there or that disconnection or I don't even wanna call it disconnection, but just, like, differing other is
Yeah.
present. It's feels great to be in the comfort of sameness and understanding.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
all are true.
Absolutely.
I
It's
think
so beneficial.
yeah. I think it flows from our last episode of culture too, because I think a positive of groups is that you can change culture if it's beneficial to the group. Like you can, if it's advocate for something, you guys can come together to change policy, to change rules. Like how is the way that we show up in our culture? Because there's so many beautiful parts about culture and sometimes it leaves us stuck and we want to change and adapt. So I like that part too, where we can come together and we can make change together.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
And we can celebrate it
Yeah.
too, like celebrate our culture and our beliefs and our
Yeah, on
values.
the other side.
And I also think it creates so much confidence to be
Yes.
part of a group, right? Like
Yep.
other
Mhm.
people get it. My
Yes.
beliefs are valid because every belief I believe is valid, right? And so to be with others who value what you value is just an incredible, rewarding
Yeah.
Mhm.
feeling.
Very rewarding and
Yeah.
very uplifting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like being around people who are motivated
Yes.
and driven and passionate is, like, important to you and, like, surrounding yourself with those people feels good, and it's
Yep.
okay that other people don't value that,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Both
Yep.
are true.
Yeah. And I think that's a good segment into probably this week's challenge is, we want that connection, right? We want those groups. We want to feel plugged in and we should. We should find those groups. I think too, though, we also need to be ready and be prepared to try different groups, right? And to
Mhm.
allow ourselves that openness and that ability to experience other groups without writing them off instantly. Because I think that's how we find new groups and how we discover new values that we realize we may not have had or they may not have been as prevalent because we've been absorbed in our current social groups. So, our challenge this week, and to wrap us up, I want us all to think about how do your current social groups disconnect you or stop you from connecting with others? So, this one is a little bit more reflective, but I think that if you wanted to make it more tangible, maybe find some social groups that are different than your normal, right? Meet some people from those social groups. Put yourself out there, be vulnerable, right? Name it, okay? Get over the imposter syndrome, but also reflect on how are your social groups stopping you from doing that? Is that a barrier for you? If they're not, that's great. If they are, though, what barriers are there and how can you overcome them? So, any other like final thoughts from you guys or any ideas?
I like that challenge. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yes, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be hard for me to reflect back on my own because I am very loyal to my social groups.
Yeah, and we're protective of them.
We are. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
for
I think
sure.
that's natural.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you next week.
Keep connecting.
As always, please remember you are someone's human connection and you are never alone.
If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or emergency, please call 988, 911, or a crisis response unit in your area. Disclaimer: the thoughts, opinions, and topics discussed in this podcast are not intended for mental health treatment, service, or diagnostic purposes. All opinions expressed are solely those of the host, co-host, and guests. Resources mentioned can be found in the written show notes. Thanks again for tuning in to the Human Reconnect podcast.